Time bombs in video games. An attack that has no hitbox when initially used, but activates one later, therefore forcing the opponent to choose an option. A very general term, but one that I believe to be very true and fitting for the definition. In my eyes, the term time bomb kind of encapsulates a lot of different moves in a lot of different fighting games. Any move that doesn't initially have an attack, but applies pressure, forcing the opponent to choose something, or maybe denying the opponent option. That's a good way to put it. Here's a couple time bombs I want to talk about. Also, I forgot to add that time bombs have to be projectiles. They can't just be moves that you can hold. They need to be projectiles. First time bomb I want to talk about is actually Kimberly's from Street Fighter 6. I was lucky enough to get into the second beta, and I was playing a ton of Kimberly, and I thought this move was really, really interesting, and was basically the one that inspired me to make this video. Kimberly's time bomb is called Shuriken Bomb. Kimberly starts the match, the round I guess, a better way to put it, with 2 spray cans. Shuriken Bomb allows you to put one basically right in front of you with Light Punch, or put one further from you, pretty much all the way across the screen, with Heavy Punch, or with Medium Punch, excuse me. Or if you do the input while pressing Medium Punch and Light Punch at the same time, she'll throw both the spray cans down at the same time. Now the interesting thing to me about this is that it uses a spray can, which can make some of your specials do more damage, or has some other implications. Once you're out of spray cans, you can gain a spray can back by doing the same input, but as far as I know, you can only have 1. So you're only able to get 2 at the very beginning of the match. Correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know. Unfortunately, the beta was only out for a few days, so I wasn't able to experiment as much with this move as I would have liked to, because it's really fun and the game's just really fun in general. But I really like this move, and I think it's really good because taking and maintaining screen space in a 2D fighter is really, really good, especially shoving people into the corner. So having a move that allows you to create pressure and control areas of the map is just really, really good in general. Especially in this game, where you have a move like Drive Impact, which even on block gives you a free hit if they're bounced into the wall, makes controlling the space of the stage super duper important. One of the interesting things that comes from Kimberly's time bomb is the fact that she's not able to gain a spray can while she has spray cans on the ground that are about to explode, which makes it so instead of just throwing one down and then regaining one back, you throw one down or 2 down and you have to focus on gaining the space or pressuring your opponent. So that's basically your only option, instead of just having protection while you regain another spray can immediately back. But having a spray can down on the ground offers up so many opportunities and reduces so many options for the opponent. Like, for instance, here I got hit by a Drive Impact by my friend, but he was immediately not able to follow up off the Drive Impact landing because the time bomb exploded. I think Kimberly's time bomb is just really interesting, and I really like the mechanic, and I enjoyed playing around with it in Street Fighter 6 the time that I was able to play the game. Now moving on to the second time bomb that I want to talk about is Mega Man Side B, his Crash Bomb in Smash Ultimate. Smash is a game that I have a lot more experience playing, so I'll probably be able to go more in depth and talk a little more about how Crash Bomb works, because I have a lot more experience with that move. I know that one a lot better. Mega Man's Crash Bomb functions pretty similarly to the way it does in Mega Man 2, which is the game where the move comes from. The way it works is when you press side B, Mega Man will lean forward a little bit and then immediately shoot out his Crash Bomb. It'll travel for a decent amount of time as it has pretty good range. It's also pretty quick too. It will completely disappear if it doesn't latch onto a wall or a person. If the person blocks the Crash Bomb, it does no shield damage and also doesn't detonate, it just disappears. But if it does latch onto them, then it will stick onto them for 2 seconds, then will detonate an explosion that has 5 hits, launching them and doing around, I want to say, 10 to 12%. The interesting thing about Mega Man's Crash Bomb is that it functions a little bit like a sticky bomb. And what I mean by that is the Crash Bomb will actually transfer to whoever the person who has it on them touches. So for instance, if you stick it on the opponent and the opponent runs into you, the Crash Bomb will stick to you instead and just detonate on its own. It has the same detonation timer whether it switches to someone or not, but the opponent who has it stuck on them can always run up to you and transfer the bomb to you. I also do want to mention that the explosion from the Crash Bomb, when it does detonate, can damage Mega Man whether it's stuck to him or not. So Mega Man still has to kind of watch where he is and what he's doing and how close he is to the detonation when it goes off. So once you stick the Crash Bomb on the opponent, they have a few seconds to kind of decide what they're going to do about it. So they can either try to rush you down and stick the crash bomb to you, they can try to shield the explosion so that they don't take damage, they can kind of run away and try to shield the explosion or roll during the explosion so that they don't take damage from it. But even through all of these different scenarios, the opponent still has to choose an option because of the pressure that the crash bomb ultimately detonating provides. I think ultimately that's the point I wanted to get to with this video. I think time bombs in fighting games are really interesting, and they open up a plethora of different ideas and just make the opponent stay on their toes and have to make decisions constantly with different variables and things. Like, basically that's all that is. When a time bomb is introduced and is counting down to ultimately exploding or detonating or whatever it does in your game, the time bomb is ultimately introducing a new variable into the neutral, I guess, into the interaction that's going on between you and the opponent, and it makes the game more interesting in my opinion. I wouldn't necessarily say time bombs are the most fun to play around, I guess, but I think they are an interesting kind of idea and concept slash move that is consistently used in fighting games. I think the best way you can do a time bomb by making sure that it has a proper weakness. For instance, in Street Fighter 6, Kimberly can't get damaged by her shuriken bomb when it detonates, but she can't get another spray can back while the shuriken bomb is on the map about to detonate. It also does have an input that requires you not to be holding back, so you can't be blocking while you do it. So basically, it's pretty much only able to be used in an advantage state. So for instance, on a heavy knockdown or things like that, those are definitely the best places to use it. And I think that's good, because in some ways, a time bomb can help you get at a disadvantage, but it can also help you push your advantage a lot as well. Meanwhile, with Mega Man's, I believe the downsides of his crash bomb are he has to play around it correctly, whereas if he messes up and doesn't properly pressure the opponent when they have the crash bomb on them, he can end up getting the crash bomb stuck to himself and then having to deal with it. And that allows the opponent to mess around with the crash bomb. Meanwhile, he also has to be mindful of the explosion, because if he does get caught when the explosion goes off of the crash bomb, whether it was stuck to him or not, he will still get hit by it. There are follow-ups off of crash bombs. Earlier in the video, there was probably some footage of me following up off of it, hopefully. Fingers crossed. I play this character a lot, I promise. But crash bomb does allow you to follow up off of the explosion, but you do have to be preemptively in the position to do it. That means you won't be able to fully pressure the opponent, or there's a lot of variables that go into messing around with crash bomb, and I think that's what makes it such a good and well-designed time bomb. It really doesn't do a lot of damage. It will never kill the opponent ever unless they're on the side of the screen already. But it introduces a variable that forces the opponent to make a choice under pressure. And I think that's what makes time bombs so special. If you look at the footage right here, when I was off stage and trying to get back on ledge, I landed a crash bomb onto this Diddy Kong. The crash bomb detonating pressured him into an option, and ultimately the option that he chose was defensive. Because he chose to shield the crash bomb, I was able to jump above him and then safely get back onto stage. But that was because I landed the crash bomb and the crash bomb pressured him into making a defensive decision. Does that make sense? Does anything I've said make sense? I don't know. I feel like I'm like teaching a seminar in a college, except about Mega Man's side B. Whatever. You can also stick crash bomb into the side of the stage, and then it becomes kind of like a motion sensor bomb. But it also doesn't. It only works like sometimes. I don't know. It's a little weird. Anyway, that's about it. Time bombs are cool. I think they're a cool idea and a cool gimmick that are in a lot of fighting games. I assume most people hate them, but I like zoners, so yeah, I'm the minority. Anyway, thanks for listening. Appreciate it.